Hello, my name is Joseph Pirayo. I want to welcome you to today's program in the beginning, Ashur. As always, I want to thank you for spending time watching this program. You can reach Assyria TV on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, Rumble, and also you can go to assyriatv.org and we have something close to 6,000 videos available throughout these years that they've been archived to watch them and enjoy the subject material that we have in there. Today's program, Ashur versus Assyrian Communist Socialist. So, why this subject? Well, to me, it seems like we are living in, confusing times. By confusing times, uh, what I mean is that this is the age of technology, age of information. You have this gadget here, you have it in your disposal. You can ask questions. Now we have AI, we have everything on internet. You can access, get information, learn, add to your knowledge, hopefully. But still, these times seems to me like it's confusing times. Like a couple of days ago, I saw this photo on Facebook. Can we show this photo of these LGBTQ community? So first I thought maybe it's a AI, it's like a joke, somebody put it, but there are so many of these groups, people that they hold these signs and they say that LGBTQ community is for Sharia law, right? Now, when you look at this, what comes to your mind? First of all, for those of you that are not familiar with the letters LGBTQ, the letters stand for L is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, and Q, I believe, stands for queer, which I don't know what queer means. But L is lesbian, like women having relations, sexual relations with women. Gay is men with men. Bisexual is a man can be with a woman or with a man at the same time, no distinction, no prejudice. Or a woman can be with a woman or a man. So this is bisexual. Transsexual is somebody transitioning from male to female or female to male. Generally, the transsexuals that here in San Francisco that I have seen from waist up, they look like women. They have a hair, makeup, the stuff in the front, but from waist down, they are male. Q for queer, I don't know what that means. So the LGBTQ community for Sharia law, right? So when we know, and I'm not being prejudiced about any group or anything, but that's what LGBTQ stands for. These are the people that they have the sexual preferences or their bodies, the transitioning, this and that. Then you see it says Sharia law. Okay, what is Sharia law? Not what I think it is, but out there, Islam has this law. It's called Sharia. For instance, Sharia law, the male has to be circumcised. They have these dietary that they are not supposed to eat any pork, any pig meat, or when they slaughter the animal like a chicken or a lamb or a cow, the blood has to leave the body completely. Then it becomes halal, and some religious guy has to perform that duty. So these are parts of the Sharia law. Another thing that is very important to these Muslims that they practice the Sharia law is lesbians, gays, bisexual, transitioning people, they are condemned to death according to Sharia law. And when I'm looking at this, like LGBTQ people, do you know what you are supporting your community being for Sharia law? I mean, it's kind of confusing. Don't you know what is this Sharia law? I'm not against Sharia law or for it or against LGBTQ or for it, but LGBTQ is this and Sharia law is this. These are the definitions, right? And when you look at this, says you are for something that will kill you. Don't you know what it is? Or when we come closer to our own, our own people, can we show this part from the Bible? Uh, no, I forgot about that. This assumption. So these LGBTQ community, they're assuming Sharia law is good. So what is assume? Is to suppose or take for granted. This is the most common meaning where you believe something is true without having evidence to prove it. So these communities, they are believing Sharia law to be good, but they don't know. So another thing about assume, let me show you here in this United States. When we say assume, so read the three circles independently. I'm not going to read you, but this is what happens when you assume. You make something out of you and me. Another thing that is related to the assume, I will get to that part about socialism and communism, but another thing that there is an assumption here is that our ancestors. Let's show that one about Shem, about his sons, right? So Shem had five sons. They were Elam, Ashur, Arpakad, Lud, and Ara. These are the sons listed in the Table of Nations in the Hebrew Bible, which traces the lineage of Noah's descendants after the Great Flood. Can we move towards the one that says Ashur? So AI says the traditional ancestor of the Assyrians. Is he? These people are assuming since we have a name Ashur that is son of Shem, so he's the one that started our nation. There was a man that became later God. That's what it's been teaching in these traditional churches. That's what they call us pagan or champe, our ancestors. But when we go back 150 years ago, when the archaeology found out where Nineveh was, where uh, the palace of Ashurbanipal, all this information they were dug, they found out this Ashur was not a person. Can we show that the symbol that every Ashur is familiar with this? This is one of the diggings when they did, they found out, and you see the writings above them in cuneiform, they translated it, and they found out our people believed in a creator. They didn't create their own creator, but they believed in this creator. They called him the beginning. That's what Ashur means. Ashuraya, he the beginning. They believed in a power that was above them. It was not that that individual became God and they worshiped him. That's another assumption that is unfortunately part of these denominations that they're teaching our people. But what I'm trying to get to date is that there is, I don't know how to communicate that, but we have what we call socialist and communist people in our nation, Assyrian communists, Assyrian socialists, which is, their right, anybody who wants to be a socialist, who wants to be a communist. But one thing that my limited knowledge tells me about what, let me get to that point, is that when we talk about socialism and its relation to faith, it says that in socialism, some religious perspectives argue that socialism focus on a powerful, all-encompassing government places it in opposition to God's authority, creating a godlike state. So socialists, they don't believe in God. Their whatever their system is. Then see our dog even is agreeing with that. I don't know if you can hear him or not. Can you hear the dog barking? Yeah, yeah, he's agreeing. And Doug says, yeah, socialism is anti-God. Now, going to communism, communism and religion, a fundamental conflict. Religion as a distraction. Karl Marx, the father of communism, I believe. As I said, I don't know too much about these things, but according to the information I have, Karl Marx viewed religion as a way for the oppressed to endure suffering, distracting them from the need to overthrow their oppressors and create a better world. He believed that once a classless communist society was established, religion would become unnecessary. Also, atheism is a foundation as for communists. The foundational principles of Marxism are materialistic, meaning they deny the existence of a divine being. This makes atheism a cornerstone of official communist ideology, with many communist states officially hostile to religion. That's fine. You want to be communist? You're right on. You want to be a socialist? Hallelujah. When we add the name Assyrian to it, right? What is Assyria? When we say Assyrian, are we connecting ourselves to our ancestors 5, 6, 7,000 years ago? Right? That's why I don't use the word Assyrian. I use the word Ashur. You know why? Do we have that ancient Assyrian religion? You know, so that part, just keep that part. We don't need to read the rest of them. But it says Assyrian ancient religion, it was polytheistic, pantheon, believed in many gods who were often personifications of natural forces. National god. The god Ashur was the national deity of Assyrians, and they had these ziggurats or temples, places of worship. So our ancestors, they believed in Ashur. They believed in a creator. They believed in a higher power above them. Then I want to focus even more on Ashurbanipal, the greatest king of not only Assyrian Ashur Empire, but the greatest king according to British Museum, and they had this what they call it program they did for a few months some years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Time goes by so fast. They proclaimed him the king of the world, the king of the world, right? So Ashurbanipal's worship of Ashur. Can we show that? So the king was a divine representative. Ashurbanipal, like other Assyrian kings, was considered the earthly representative of Ashur. So the leader, the head of Ashur, was representing the deity. Our identity and our faith were commingled together. Faith, identity, there was no difference. That's what our ancestors believed. That's what I'm trying to get the point. When I say I am Ashuri communist, I'm Ashuri socialist. I will get to the point. Why am I bringing this subject? See, communists and social, they don't believe in Christianity. And today I'm not going to talk about Christianity. Just the core belief our ancestors, before they became Christians, they believed in a power above their head. So Ashurbanipal, like other Assyrian kings, was considered the earthly representative of Ashur. His role was to carry out the God's will. The role of the leader of the nation was to carry out the God's will, and his power was legitimized through his connection to the divine. That's what he was. That's who our ancestors were. It's not that I like it or I dislike it, but this is what it is. Again, military campaigns and blessings. The Assyrian king sought Ashur's blessing before undertaking military campaigns, believing that victory was granted by the god's favor. Ashur was the god of war and sovereignty, and his support was crucial for military success. His support, they looked for him. Allah Ashur, help us. Allah Ashur, help us to be successful, either military campaign or now when we come to our leaders, are they seeking another power above them? You don't want to believe in Jesus Christ, it's your choice. I believe in him. He's my Lord, my Savior, my God. I don't force it on anybody. It's my choice. But when I come and I'm looking at our either individuals or our organizations, and that they don't want to have anything to do with God or the divine power, yet they use the name Assyria. See, when you start using the name Ashur, you get more into detail like who we are instead of Atur, especially when we talk in our own language. Atur, Atur. What is Atur? When you say Ashur, you go back. Not Ashur, son of Shem, which is nonsense and is being taught. But as I said, I don't want to get into that. I'll do my best not to get into that part. Leadership. Who is a leader right now as an individual or an organization for our people? Right? Who was the last greatest leader that we had? Anybody you can think of? From the information that I have, from the things that I have seen before, last week program we did the 50th anniversary of murder, of assassination of Mordechai Schumann. Can we show us photo so people know what I'm talking about? Mordechai Schumann, 50 years ago, he was assassinated. He was known throughout the political scenes. Everywhere he went, he was Harvard. I mean, level of education, level of knowledge, communication, and he fought for our people, especially the ones in our homeland, to get there at least, let them live their life, let them live their faith, let them be. We don't want anything else. We just want to survive, please. And he was all over the place. He went to the League of Nations before it changed, became United Nations. He was all over the place while he was yet patriarch. He was in that religious authority position. He was father of that denomination. What happened was, from the information that I have, maybe I'm wrong, but the limited information that I have, that he decided to take off that religious clothes and, excuse me, be active only in politics. Yet he was still grounded in his faith to his Lord. So he wasn't atheist, he wasn't socialist, he wasn't communist. He was a patriot with believing in God, yet not being a leader in the church, politically active to resolve the issues. And the moment he did that, he was assassinated. I don't know what would have happened if he wasn't assassinated and he would have continued with his work for our nation as just a politician. This photo is amazing. You know, when he went to Iran with Shah, uh, I was just born. It says 1963. I was like 1 year old. When he came over there, our people, not just from the Church of the East, every Ashuri that was able to go and see, you know, when back in the old times, when the car would come through the streets, people would come and gather around the street. And when the car passed by and wave, shake, you know, just that single moment, that was important for them. That was just enough. You know, I saw the car, even if we didn't see him, if we didn't see him wave, it was so important when he came to Iran. Then 1970, he went to Iraq. Over there, it was even like, wow, so many people. I think that frightened the government, the authorities in Iraq at that time. Everywhere he went, everywhere he went, he was like, I'm not saying he was worshipped, but people were looking up to some leader. You are the hope that we have as a leader, either to save us from the tyranny or whatever they were believing in. He noticed by being a religious leader, it's not to work the right way because he's the leader of this denomination. But all the Ashuris outside Church of the East, all the Protestant churches, I'm sure there were some Chaldean and Syriacs that they believe that they are denomination. They're not a nation like Aramean or Chaldean. Effective leadership. That was the last one that I know of. I don't know. Do you know of any effective leadership that we have today that gives you the hope someday something is going to happen, something that we can all unite around it, we all can go support it, that they will do something, especially in our homeland, in North Iraq? Our poor people suffering over there under the oppression of people that they don't want them to exist. They're trying to change their identity. They want to call us Christian Kurds or Christian Iraqi. Forget your identity. Creating identities for us. Assyrian, Chaldean, Aramaic, Aramean, right? The whole point, that confusing times that I was talking about, right? One other thing, when Ashurbanipal died, it was the year 631 BC. 612 BC, within 19 years, Nineveh was destroyed. What happened? Such a great king, right? Most powerful king of the world. Within 19 years, no more Ashur empire. Destroyed. What happened? I don't want to assume, right? You know what happens when you assume, right? But when you're looking at the history, at like some people say, when the father is so strong as a king, then the son comes is not as strong. Ashurbanipal's father was Esarhaddon, another great king. Ashurbanipal even became greater. How come his son didn't become greater? The disconnect, because everything was done for their faith. Everything was done for Ashur. The disconnect came, you become, oh, I'm the king of them. I'm the one. Me. It is self, like, okay, I'm in charge of this great empire. Nobody can do anything. Forget Ashur, forget faith. 19 years later, no more Ashur. To my fellow brothers and sisters, that they trying to be our leaders, either as individuals, either as organizations, please remember who we are. That's why I use the word Ashur. The moment I say Ashur, it connects me to my ancestors, what they believed, who they were. When we come up with these, okay, I don't want to believe in Jesus Christ, fine, but I want to be Assyrian communist, Assyrian socialist. No, you can't. The moment you say that, you be like these LGBTQ for Sharia law. You're assuming something, you're taking a name and misrepresenting it. Be socialist, be communist, but you can't be like our ancestors. Effective leadership to create a group that would be trusted, that would lead us to the promised land. Ain't gonna happen, brother. Sad, but true. Now, what is the hope? What is it that we can do? I believe each one of us, we have to learn of who we are. Before I tell you who you are, I have to know who I am. Who am I? Going back to my ancestors, what did they do 4,000 or 5,000 years ago? Next program, we will go what they did 2,000 years ago. Right? But for now, learn, every one of us. See, the spirit of our ancestors, that's why I keep repeating that. When I say Ashur, that's the spirit of our ancestors. You think Who were they? Ashur Banipal, Shamiram. You know, wow, they had all these systems and like there was an empire. I wish I lived back then, you know. Now you're living places. It's like we having what they call it, malichulia, like mentally, you know, forgetting. There was a price paid for us to be here. I'm responsible. I feel responsible to keep my identity, to keep my name, for the sake of those who their blood was spilled, not only 100 years ago, even now. Our brothers and sisters are under oppression, and we're looking for leadership. We're looking for leaders, organizations that take us to the promised land, cradle of civilization, the people that believed in the Creator. I think for now, you know, it's good enough. It's just that I get frustrated by these misrepresentation with all the information we have out there, the leadership and the leader quality. Just learn. Knowledge is power. When we learn more, we can get duped much less. We can get tricked into following something that at the end will not give fruit. But we will get there. We will get there. Blessed be Ashur, the work of God's hands. Ahia Ashur Chaya. Just learn, just history. Who is this? What happened? Right? So we will get there. How? I don't know. Knowledge comes first. The more I learn, the more you learn, the more we have, then we can identify who is what, and our leaders better learn. If you want to represent Ashur, better have the mentality of our ancestors. Coming to the end, as always, Hayya Ashur Khaya, Khaya Ashur, Mabqila, thank you, and see you next program. Bye bye.
Sheikhani.